you might be able to handle it, you might not. You know, the things that
don't mind the mug, guys. Honestly, I adore ginger tea. Like, I don't know what it is about ginger, but it really just hits the spot. Okay, good morning guys. Welcome back to my channel. If you have been following my Instagram, you will have seen that I've had some food adjustments made this past weekend. So I am over the moon with that because I'm so ready to kind of get things pushing forward now. Up until this point, things have felt so easy, I guess. Easy, like way too easy for it to be like prep. It sometimes doesn't even feel like I'm prepping, aside from like having no off-plan meals. But with that being said, what we have is, let me get it up for you. Changes made are 50 grams of rice removed from a upper body day and a rest day. And then leg days are currently the same. So we run normal food on a rest day. No changes there. I think that is literally just because, you know, more food in, more carbs is just going to aid my performance, knowing that my lower body is something that had to come up big time from last season. So we want to push as much food onto those days as possible, really, as to what we can get away with to aid recovery, aid performance there, to make sure that I'm able to retain that muscle tissue. So hence why that's not changed, but we've pulled from both my other days, upper body and rest days. Cardio is in on an upper body day now as well. So before it was literally just in on a rest day, and it also has gone up from 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And again, on the Stairmaster, alongside that, I have 5K steps fasted. So before it was 3K fasted, that's gone up to 5K, which brings my total daily steps up to 14K per day. It was 12K before. So a nice little shift with expenditure there as well, which even though it's not been too much of an adjustment with food, like as from an expenditure standpoint, like that's a good bit more than what I had been previously doing. So I'm looking forward to seeing that start to kick in a little bit. Also, assistance side of things has been increased as well in the forms of like Clan, T3, T4, etc. All of that has been increased ever so slightly. So I actually did my first 30-minute cardio session this morning and my extra steps. So today is a Tuesday. It's Tuesday the 6th of June, and I went into the gym this morning, did my half-hour cardio, literally did 15 minutes power walk on the treadmill after that, obviously with my fitness tracker on to track those steps, because I don't actually track steps when I'm doing my set cardio, because I like to have them as two separate variables. And obviously you have to keep in mind that if my cardio was to be increased and it was part of my steps, then technically overall my NEAT expenditure through the day comes down because I'm including my cardio within my steps, if that makes sense. But I did my 15-minute walk on the treadmill after that, and then I went out for my normal walk, which is a 3K walk. All of that before meal one, so all of that was fasted. And yeah, so I think it must have been a good like hour and over an hour and a quarter maybe of like being out and about, like walking, doing Stairmaster. And it feels good, like it feels good to just get that all complete in the morning, because it means that I don't have so much to worry about during the day then, if the bulk of it is complete in the morning. So that's what I would advise anyone to do. Like if you are pushed for time, and say for example, oh God, if you are pushed for time, then if you are pushed for time and you have to get to work, say for example, try and get a good chunk of your steps done in the morning so you just don't have to worry about them later in the day. That will always take a massive amount of stress of you, so that you can actually just make sure you train in the evening if you need to, and then you actually just get to go home and you don't have to worry about going out for steps like 9 o'clock at night, because trust me, there is nothing worse than that at all. But all in all, you know, energy is still in a good place. My mood's pretty good. Like I said, I feel like I'm in a better mood now. I've had that push forward because I've been anticipating that for a while. Pictures have been improving, but I just feel like I would ideally like to see myself probably a couple kilos lighter at this point in time. But we still have time to push things on. We still have plenty of tools to use. My food is not like super low at all, like really whatsoever. And we are obviously at this point coming up to 12 and a half weeks out, which is crazy. And there is definitely new shape kind of coming through in my pictures, which is always the main thing, is the visuals. And I do feel like I'm going to be pretty excited when I hit that sub 60 kilo mark. And today I actually weighed in at 63.8, which is a matched low weigh-in from this prep. But obviously that was that was the day after I came back from Ireland, so that was a bit of a fluke, I suppose. But technically lowest weight in this prep, and hopefully we'll be in the 63s a little bit more firmly over the next kind of couple of weeks, because it has been a little bit sticky. But I think with 4 kilos pulled off of this, we're going to start to get a good idea about like my shape, about how much muscle I truly did gain over the off season, because you know, when you hold a bit more body fat, it's harder to tell exactly the improvements that you've made. So I'm excited to see that. I think that sub 60 kilo, like 60 kilos is going to be that, like that threshold where that shape definitely starts to come in a little bit more. So I'm honestly buzzing for that. This week we did train at FLF yesterday, and that was really good. I just don't really like training at my normal environment. I just like everything to be consistent, because everything just feels like it clicks when you're in your normal environment, whereas everything feels a bit off when you are training elsewhere. As great a gym as it is, and it's nice to get out and about, I just like training at Ultraflex, which would make sense because you have like literally the best gym in the country on your doorstep. So I can't expect anything less. But overall, I think that this week is just going to be business as usual. I think that we actually do have the meetup, the MK meetup on Sunday. So that's going to be really good to catch up with a few people there and just see everyone, really, because I think it's going to be a pretty busy day. But all in all, you know, everything's been pretty straightforward. Hunger definitely picked up a little bit, but nothing that's not manageable. At the end of the day, I think that it just has to be expected. Like, it has to be expected on prep. I don't do anything like bulking out my meals or anything like that. I just stick solely to what is on the plan. I don't try and like add more volume by adding extra veg, just because I feel like as a competitor, it's just not really something that you should be looking to do, especially you want to keep your waistline nice and tight as well. And on top of that, like if I was to say, for example, I was to make this food adjustment now and we've dropped food, if I was to then think I'm going to start bulking out my meals with extra veg, even if it is just lettuce and a couple of tomatoes, like that could be across the whole day an extra like 50 calories. What if that's like, you know, a quarter or even a half of what we've actually pulled from my food? So like kind of mitigating the changes made. So as a competitor, I think you just need to stick to your diet as is on the plan, as set out, rather than thinking about trying to volumize everything. Obviously, yes, I do enjoy a tea or like some flavored water or a coffee every now and then, which does have calories, but that is fairly consistent, and I wouldn't go in now and just try and add a shit ton of volume to my food, whereas like I know that this at least is controlled. It's something that I've done since. It's something that I know doesn't add a lot of calories to my day, barely any. I just feel like as a competitor probably will want to just be sticking to things solely on your plan rather than just trying to mitigate being hungry, because trust me, if you really, really hate being hungry, then best not compete, because that's just part and parcel of the process. So regardless as to whether you're bulking your food out or not, like you're still going to be starving. So sometimes it's just best to sit with it, just best to embrace it and yeah, enjoy the process of prep and getting peeled, because that's what it's all about. Right, so as you can see, it is kind of a meat cooking day. I have 800 grams of chicken here, which is literally just done, and then I have 300 grams of mince over here. I only have mince on a rest day, so usually what I do is get a 500 gram pack, I cook 300 grams, and I pop the other 200 grams in the freezer to use for next time, because obviously if I was to cook it all at once, then it would probably go off. So that's the way I do it anyways. I do season my food when I'm cooking it. I think I might have gone through this before, but generally my favourite seasonings are the aromat, the fajita, which is nice, put a bit of spice, the chicken and paprika, chicken seasoning, chicken and paprika, onion and paprika, chicken seasoning. And then I also have barbecue in there. So those are my kind of general go-tos. What I'm going to do now, because these are done, so I'm going to get a couple of Tupperwares out, and then I'm going to weigh all of these out cooked, because I know the raw weight, and then I'm going to convert it into what I actually need proportion. You can bet that the best meal on a rest day is still in the plan. Right, guys, I've had an absolute mare. I've literally just dropped my phone down the back of the radiator, which is fucking great. But can you see it? Well, it is on, so fuck's sake. I've got the little leg off one of my tripods. I'm going to try and like dig out, but I don't know if this is going to work. Oh no. Stay tuned. 2 days since I last filmed, and we are at 62.9, Thursday the 8th of June, and it is coming down. So as you can see there, guys, I think that the adjustments that we made over the weekend have definitely been seeing things shift pretty nicely, if I do say so myself. But all in all, very happy with that. Very, very happy, considering that I've not seen the 62s, like, well, all prep so far. So this is by far a new low for me. Like, if anything, like the highest I've really seen is like the highest 63. So buzzing with that. Definitely feeling a lot more hungry over the past couple of days. I mean, it's leg day today, so I didn't have cardio this morning, and I literally just did a 5k walk. So back to normal food setup as well. Food didn't change at all on a leg day, so we'll have a few extra calories and carbs going in today, which I'm looking forward to. But with that being said, you know, I don't mind about being hungry. Like, we have a job to do. I know that I'm going to be hungry. I know that we do have to shift things forward pretty quick at this point in time. Coming up to, well, this weekend it'll be 12 weeks out. So things are, well, weeks are definitely flying by, and now it's just going to be a matter of just doing the do on a day-to-day. There will be some challenging days to come. Like, we've still got a good amount of time. I'm not like struggling yet. The past couple of days, there have been times where I have felt a little bit lower energy, especially like the latter half of the day once I've done the majority of my expenditure. But that is just, it is what it is. Rest days, I just have 2 meals with carbs, and upper body days I've got 2 meals without carbs. So yeah, it's coming down. I haven't yet worked out my calories and macros, to be honest. Like, I am thinking at this point in time that I might not work out my calories and macros from this point on, because I just don't feel like I need to know what they are, and I just want to focus on just getting the food in, doing the do, without focusing on like I'm on X amount of calories or X amount of carbs or whatever, because I don't want that to kind of affect my mentality. You don't always have to know, like, if you don't want to, and you know, maybe I will work them out down the line, but at this point in time I think I'm just gonna leave it and just keep focusing on what I need to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm just going to set you there, but I just thought that I would cover a question that was asked in myself and Mark's Q&A that we did on his channel. So if you want to go check that out, then please do head over there and subscribe to him. Also, if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to my channel if you would be so kind, because it would really help me out and I would really appreciate it. But anyways, getting back to business, there was a question that was asked that I don't think we did actually cover, we didn't actually answer, and I just thought I would go through it now with you all, because I think that it is a really good question within those that are interested in bodybuilding, or they have maybe done their first season and you really enjoy it and you're looking to actually take it as far as you can, really. And the question was, what are the steps to getting a pro card as a newbie to bodybuilding? How many comps does it take to become a pro? So I think this is a really good question. I think that it's something that's worth speaking about. I'm going to talk about it more so in the context of bikini, because I think that a lot of you here probably will be bikini girls, or like you will be watching this as someone who competes or is looking to compete. Maybe I will cover it a little bit also for other divisions as well as a whole. Obviously I can't run through every single one because it's just going to be way too long. But when it comes to winning a pro card as a newbie, like if you've just gotten into bodybuilding now and you've just started competing, or you haven't even competed yet, I think that the main advice that I would give is just set small goals for yourself. Like, look to improve rather than trying to. I think everyone should always have big goals. I think that sometimes, you know, what is the saying, like you shoot for the stars, or you shoot for the moon, you end up in the stars, whatever it is, something woo like that. But I do believe that it's worthwhile having big goals in anything. However, you do need to break those down into smaller goals. So say, for example, you've done your first season, you've done your first show, you love it, you love the process, you love prep, and you want to go as far as you can within this sport. So, Jen from the future, I'm literally just editing now, and I don't think I made this part super clear before I go into this next part of what I was going to talk about. So just to clarify and to really outline the steps or the stepping stones to getting a pro card, you have to compete in a regional show within Two Bros. Two Bros being the federation that is associated or linked with the IFBB, and that will qualify you to compete at a pro qualifier where you can potentially win your pro card. So you need to win your class at a regional show to go into the overall at the regional show, and winning the overall at the regional doesn't actually, you don't get a pro card from that, but it does qualify you. Just competing, you only have to participate. You don't have to place in any certain particular way. You just have to participate to then qualify to go into a pro qualifier where you would need to win your class in that show, and that puts you into the overall. Usually the winner of the overall at the pro qualifier within your division wins the pro card. Sometimes there is more than one pro card on offer, but usually I think it is one, and that will be the winner of the overall. I think that yes, the pro card is the long-term goal, but break that down. Like if you've competed in your first show, then and you haven't placed, say for example, in the top 3, your next goal should then be, right, I'm going to place top 3. The goal after that is going to be, I'm going to win a regional. The next thing is going to be to win the overall at a regional show. The next thing is then going to be, right, I'm going to come top 5 in a pro qualifier. Then it's going to be, right, I'm going to come top 3 in a pro qualifier. And then it's going to be, right, I'm going to win my pro card. Do you see what I mean? Like it has to come in stages. Like yes, the big goal is there, but you're breaking it down, because otherwise, like when you're an amateur and you're just starting out, you can be a fair while away from winning the pro card. Even in bikini, like bikini requires a good bit of muscle these days. So to achieve that muscle, and obviously genetic component is going to be such a big factor here. Some people are going to be those individuals that just do it on their first season. Like they win the regional, they get the overall, they go into a pro qualifier, they win their pro qualifier, they win the overall, they win their pro card. Like there are those genetic freaks out there, but just because they are that good and genetically they're just incredible, and or even people that have been training for a few years and have just stepped into competing. So I don't think there's any set amount of shows that you should do. There's no essential set amount of training years that you need to have, because that a lot of it is going to be determined by your genetics at the end of the day, and you can never really think, right, I'm going to do X amount of shows and I'm going to win my pro card. Like that's just not the way it works. Obviously there is the factor of like how hard you're working, how much you're giving to making the improvements that you need to make. Like are you giving everything, or during your off season are you having a bit more of like a more balanced, relaxed off season approach, or are you treating your off season like a prep? Because that is also going to dictate how much progress that you can make. Knowing that bikini is something that it's hard. Like I think from what I've seen recently, bikini is a division where you have to be quite mentally tough, because there are so many swings with a bikini. It's so subjective. It's not like the person with the most muscle or the leanest person wins. Like the bigger and leaner the better, like it is within bodybuilding. Like that's not the case. Like there is a lot of subjectivity. Is that even a word? Who knows? But it's very subjective, and the judging can be very subjective. Like some judges are going to like a certain look, some judges are going to like other looks, and you might just not be what they were looking for on the day. Does it mean that you might not be close to winning a show or close to placing top 3? Maybe not. Like you might do a show the next week and you might win the show, whereas the week before you might have come like 5th. There are so many factors to it that you have to be so tough in terms of understanding that your placings don't always reflect the improvements you make or where you're at, because it is a lot of the time obviously down to the hard work, of course, and of course like it's down to what you put in, but there is also a matter of luck as to who shows up on the day, who's doing the shows that you're doing. You could have that genetic freak that shows up and you've done all this work and they've just rocked up after a year of training and they've beaten you. Like that just is the case in bikini, because you don't have to be the most muscled for bikini. As much as they are looking for the girls to be more muscular, it does take more time to get that developed now. In all honesty, I think just focus on your own progression, focus on your own improvements, and setting these goals of doing that little bit better from show to show or season to season or look to look, and then eventually like it will happen, no matter whether it takes like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. It doesn't matter. Like it's about the process, and you really need to be in it, not just for the end result, but because you love bodybuilding. Like for me, like that is the priorities, because I'm doing this because I love bodybuilding. The pro card is literally just the icing on the cake with that. So always make sure that you are doing it for the right reasons. You are doing it for yourself, no matter how many shows you have to do to be pro. Like it doesn't matter. And understand that if you don't get the placing that you want, it doesn't disregard like all the work you've done, especially in bikini. It is subjective. It is a matter of like preference at the end of the day with the bikini look, and structure does play play a big part as well. So that's all things to keep in mind. So I kind of hope that that kind of rounds up that question for you. I think it is a really good question and something that is always worth covering because, like I said, becoming a pro doesn't require a certain amount of shows. It requires hard work, patience, resilience, and consistency at the end of the day. So that is my 2 cents on that, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments because I would love to know. Also, as you can probably tell, me and Mark did actually manage to fish my phone out from behind the radiator, which is what you would have seen up to. But yeah, not an ideal situation. Took me about 20 minutes by myself. It took us about like 15 minutes together to get it out, which was not the best use of time, but it was properly wedged in. But anyways, we've got it now. It's all good. And with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that it's given you a bit more of an insight as to the changes that we've made this past week, the progress so far, and touching on a couple of other aspects as well in there. So hope that it's been useful anyways, and I will catch you all in the next one. So remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will speak to you all very soon.